I signed up to push this woman, Natalie. She's 31 years old and has cerebral palsy. My job was to push her for a 5K, 3.1 miles. I had never volunteered to push anyone in a wheelchair before, and I was nervous. I hadn't met anyone with cerebral palsy before either. Would we be able to communicate? Can she talk? Will I be able to connect with her? I had no idea. I arrive at the race and find her and her mom. Natalie is already dancing in her wheelchair to Luke Bryan music. I introduce myself. They tell me, as long as you push fast, you have nothing to worry about, Matt. Oh boy, no pressure now. So, doing as I was told, I pushed as fast as I could. There were a few uphills, and I love uphills as a runner. As a pusher, oh, it's a different story. Sweating like crazy, and Natalie just laughing in her wheelchair. She says, "How you doing, Matt?" She would ask me during the course of the race, and gasping for breath, I'd respond, "Great. I'm great, Natalie." Well, clearly I didn't have to worry about if she could communicate or if we would connect at all. It is hard for Natalie to sit in the chair for an entire race because her body aches due to the cerebral palsy. And also, I'm not that great of a driver, so we're weaving all over the place, and I'm sure that did not help her body. We suffered through a very punishing course. As we ran, I could hear people cheering Natalie on. They were inspired by the smile on her face. They could see how hard it was on her body, yet she still exuded joy. All eyes were on her. We get near the finish line and the cheers get louder. It was one of the most beautiful moments ever. And why was that? Because I saw and that crowd saw how Natalie lives a challenge every minute of every day, but actually lives life like a champion. Raise your hand if you've been dealt with a challenge before. You've probably been through many challenges. We all have, perhaps heartbreak or addiction, or maybe your parents divorced, or maybe they left you, or maybe they died. Did another family member die or a friend? Have you ever failed an exam, struggled financially, or held on to past regrets? And yet you are still here. I hope you give yourself lots of grace for that. And there's two ways challenges can go. They can build champions, like you heard with Natalie, or break us. A buddy of mine had an alcoholic father. And I remember talking to him one day, and we were talking about alcohol, and he said, "Of course I'm going to drink. My dad did. I was brought up around it. That's the only thing I saw was alcohol. Of course I'm going to drink." And I thought, well, that's tough upbringing. I get it. You're around your father who's drinking constantly. You're always around alcohol. But years later, I met my buddy's only brother, grew up in the same house, and he did not drink. And I asked him why, and he said, "Because I saw what drinking did to my dad and our family, and I knew I could never touch it." Same challenge. One built a champion, one broke a character. What is a challenge really? Are they real? For sure sometimes, but think on this. Sometimes do we get roadblocked thinking a challenge is in our way, but perhaps that's not really true. A challenge could just be a story we tell ourselves, and often it's a myth. You may hear, my challenge is my boss hates me. Is that reality or is that a myth you're telling yourself? Maybe your boss just doesn't understand you. Maybe one-on-one conversation where you're sharing your feelings with him or her will make them not hate you, but understand where you're coming from. My challenge is I've tried everything to save money and nothing works. That is for sure a myth because if you tried everything, something would have worked by now. Now, why is overcoming challenges even important? Why should you care this morning? Because it leads to growth, and growth leads to progress, and progress leads to happiness. So challenges taken on and overcome actually lead to happiness. If you overcome enough challenges, it'll change your beliefs and continue to expand your identity and have a clarity of purpose of where you're going in your life. Angela Duckworth, who wrote an amazing book called Grit. He's a researcher, went to incredible colleges, studied grit for years and years. She proves through her research that grit is a better indicator of success than talent or intelligence. Grit. Grit means you continue to overcome challenges when they present themselves versus letting them cripple you. And that is the number one indicator of success, overcoming challenges. What if you decide that challenges are not important? It doesn't matter. You'll end up like me for over a decade. See, I was captain of the basketball team in high school. I dated the head cheerleader. I was a straight A student. Then I introduced myself to partying in college. I drank heavily all 4 years. I told myself, when I get a job, I'll stop boozing. It wasn't that easily. Didn't happen that easy, especially when my job was selling spring break travel packages. It's hard to stop drinking in that situation. My rock bottom was in 2011, a decade into my alcoholism, and I was 60 pounds overweight. I was lazy, unmotivated, and not a great human being. It took a powerful moment of embarrassment mixed with deep reflection to realize I was the problem. I quit drinking for 2 years and then reintroduced myself to alcohol through a new friend group. 3 years into that, in 2016, I took my parents to a country concert to thank them for being amazing parents in my life. My mom, my dad, myself, and my brother. I rented a limousine to drive us to this country concert. It was supposed to be a memorable, beautiful night. And due to my over consuming of hard liquor, I barely remember anything. It was one thing to let myself down in 2011. I let myself down. But now I let my family down. And I let my idol, who's my father, I let him down. I woke up the next morning after this country concert. My head was pounding. I had to stay over at my parents' house because I couldn't drive home, obviously. I walked into the kitchen and the look on my dad's face when I was hungover that morning was a look that changed me forever. I was not going to let down the Scaletti name anymore. I used that pain of that morning, the look on my own face, the look on my dad's face, the look on my family's face, to break through fully and finally. There's two ways to see a challenge. It's an opportunity for a breakthrough or a breakdown. I chose breakthrough that time. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy, but you better believe it's worth it. You hear breakthrough. What is a breakthrough? Well, it's defined as a sudden, dramatic, and important discovery. I think it's a specific moment in your life when you created a new belief and life completely shifts as a result of this breakthrough. If you do something for the first time, it often creates a breakthrough. If you think about it, if you've ever run your first marathon, it's a breakthrough because you almost think it's not possible. I remember my first marathon, first 5K, first 10K, first half marathon. You think, I can't believe I just went that far. It's amazing. Or you get your first promotion. Maybe you think, I don't know if I'm ever going to get promoted. Am I worth it? Then you get promoted and you go, life shifts. You save your first $10,000. Think, oh my God, I'm rich forever, right? Or you save your first $1,000 or your first $100. You think, wow, $100. I can't believe I had this. It's a breakthrough. Or maybe you move across the country or across the world. You realize you can handle that move. That's a breakthrough. Or maybe it's overcoming a fear of public speaking, becoming a speech champion. That was one of my biggest breakthroughs. I've been terrified of public speaking ever since I can remember. I forgot my lines during a fifth grade speech, and I embarrassed myself in front of my entire student body, hundreds of people in a gymnasium. Since that moment, I told myself I'm a horrible public speaker. In 2012, I joined Toastmasters, a speaking organization that helps you get in front of people. In 2015, I went to the International Speech Competition World Championships in Las Vegas. I saw the best speakers in the world on stage, and I thought, I want that. I want to do whatever it takes to become a speech champion. There's 5 levels to become a speech champion. You have to get through all 5 to get on the international stage. 2016, I'm excited. I just saw this speech competition last year. I sign up, I'm ready to go. Have to get through 5 levels. Level 1, I lose to a guy named Matt as well. I'm out. Level 1, I don't make it past level 1. 2017, I'm coming back. Level 1, I still don't get out of level 1. 2018, third time. Now I'm ready. Now I'm getting better. Level 1, I'm out. I lose to the same guy all 3 years. 2019, I just needed a break. 2020 hits, COVID, and I can't even do it. So I work on it in 2021. In 2022, I learn, I get mentors, I grow, I get better, I build confidence. 2023, I come back and win level 1 finally. Then I win level 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. It took me almost a decade from when I wanted this goal, this dream, to break through and get to the division champion of Toastmasters International. Now, what can create a breakthrough? You heard it could be a first time doing something. It could be a challenge. It could be an event. It could be a conversation with somebody and you realize, wow, they could do it. I could do it too. It could be a new experience. I host these retreats a couple times a year, and we now call it Breakthrough Adventures. We hosted one in Colorado Springs about a year and a half ago, and a woman named Dana, who I got to know through these camps, decided she wanted to come to the camp. Now, the thing was, she was scared to death of airplanes, scared to death of heights, scared to death of doing these things alone and meeting people. She's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so she had to fly out to Colorado Springs. And she did. We call it breakthrough adventures, breakthrough adventure retreat on purpose because we create breakthroughs. Dana broke through before she even got to camp because she already took a plane by herself, rented a van, and drove six other campers to the event. That's leadership. She also, by the way, lost over 50 pounds in between the two camps we ran for 7 months. She completely changed her life. Then, to take it a step further, we did this insanely crazy high ropes course like I've never seen. I believe it was 40 feet in the air. To get to the high ropes course, it wasn't like you walked upstairs or anything with a railing. It was a telephone pole with these iron handholds and footholds in it, small handholds and footholds. You're clearly strapped in, and you had to climb up this tree just to start the obstacle course. Of course, I ran the event, so I had to go first, and I was terrified. I got through it somehow, but I was terrified. I get back down and I start looking at the group and encouraging everyone. There's about 20 of us. I noticed that 19 had helmets on because they were going to climb. Dana did not have a helmet on. She had no intention of climbing, but the team player that she is, she was showing up to encourage other people to clap for them when they got to the top and went across the obstacle course. That's just the leader that she is, but no intention of climbing. I'm talking to one of the other campers as we're cheering other people on, and I look back and I see a few campers talking to Dana. I didn't know what they were talking about. I keep talking to this other camper. I look back 5 minutes later. Now Dana has a helmet on. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. I keep talking to this other camper. I look over out of the corner of my eye and I see Dana walking up to this tree. She's going to go for it. She's going to go for it. One hand hold in front of the next. Terrified the entire way, Dana kept climbing. Dana had a breakthrough that afternoon. She proved to herself she can do something so difficult in her mind she never thought she could do. She made it up this tree, did the entire obstacle course, and took the zip line down. The look on her face when she got to the bottom of the zip line looked like there was life before that obstacle course, and now there's life after. That is what a breakthrough does. Life completely shifted for this young woman within the matter of 5 minutes. Now, there's also different ways to have a breakthrough. They can be self-propelled or it could be due to life's curveballs. You don't see it coming. Natalie got dealt a curveball in life. She was dealt with cerebral palsy and she turned it into a self-propelled breakthrough. She didn't take that for just so I've this guy have cerebral palsy doesn't mean I'm not going to live my life. That's how she saw it. Myself, I had zero resiliency. Life's curveballs to me during my alcoholic days felt like catastrophes. A little curveball felt like a massive catastrophe. I had no resilience in high school and college. I had no major setbacks. I was blessed. I was blessed beyond belief. And all those blessings also made me not see the difficulties of life. I had no major setbacks until alcoholism, until the ultimate challenge that helped create an inner power in me that I could overcome anything. I realized I need to voluntarily push my comfort zone before life did it for me. That's why I run marathons, ultra marathons, train with the Navy SEALs, do Ironmen. It's for mental toughness to prepare me for life's curveballs, not the physical part, the mental part. Then, when life's curveballs do happen, I'd be prepared. Two Father's Days ago, we're out to dinner with my dad, my mom, my dad, my brother, his wife, and myself, five of us. having a beautiful dinner. My dad's eating a steak like he loves to do. He's had Parkinson's for over 10 years now. And as we're finishing up the meal and he's finishing his steak, I see that he starts choking. I'd never seen this before. I hear stories about somebody choking and not being able to get their breath. And now I'm witnessing my idol dealing with this. He's choking. Can tell there's a big problem happening right now. I stand up, I tell for somebody to go dial 911, trying to see if there's something lodged in his throat. I've taken CPR classes before, so I got my dad up and I start giving him the Heimlich. I ask other people, do they know how to do it? Can they help out? My dad's hands, feet, because he had sandals on, and his face turned blue, like a purple color. This is my idol right now. Giving him the Heimlich. I'm just doing whatever I can, as much as I can. Other people are coming in and helping out. When I need a break from holding them up, somebody will come in and give them some people we don't even know. I look over and I see my mom and my sister-in-law, and they're bawling because they know that it's most likely over. It doesn't look good. My dad's not really breathing. He's now not responding. For 6 minutes, my dad was gone. And then all of a sudden, after he didn't move or make a sound, oh my God, he's alive. He's alive. He can get through this. The paramedics come, they take him off to the hospital, and he made it through. Hugely traumatic experience for him, but he made it through. What did I learn through this whole process was, first off, human beings are heroes. These people came in that we didn't even know to help out my father. I also learned that self-propelling my growth through challenges built the mental toughness up to remain calm during my idol's curveball in his life, even if it was as severe as life or death. I was able to remain calm and laser focused on the situation. And it's only because I put myself through all of these difficult setbacks, marathons, ultras, endurance races, obstacle courses. You do this to build the mental toughness, not just the physical. Now, we're going to learn how to self-propel a sustainable, positive change in your life. How many people would find it helpful to have this tool in your back pocket to use? You have a tool that can get you to break through any of life's setbacks. Who would find that helpful? Of course, right? Where I'm going to give you the ultimate breakthrough process to overcome any challenge. It's this simple, and we're going to go through it. Three A's, triple A, accountability, action, and your army. That will create a breakthrough. Now, what's the benefit of this? The benefit is you can take any challenge, create changes in your beliefs, which will change your identity, which will change your destiny. Now, I want you to think about in your notebooks, what are you struggling with most right now? Write down one thing you're struggling with the most. What we're going to work on is accountability. And accountability is the key to the vehicle of change. Without it, nothing starts. You have to own it, own this setback, own this challenge, feel it, and then break through it. Why don't people overcome challenges? Because they think someone else will fix their problems. I call it the blunder of blame. Can write that down. That's why people don't overcome challenges a lot of times. The blunder of blame. They have a challenge in a relationship. Well, I just need my partner to change or my spouse to change. Challenge with finances. Well, I just need a raise, but it hasn't been given to me yet. Challenge with the health? Well, this is how I was brought up, and this is how my parents ate. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, but you're 40 years old now, not 7. Also, we need to remove I should get healthier. I should start my business. I should write that book. Those are what I call bullshoulds. Total bullshit. Turn shoulds into non-negotiables. What's that look like? It's non-negotiable that I get healthier. I'll find a way. It's non-negotiable for me to start a business. It's non-negotiable for me to write a book. How different does that look from shoulds to non-negotiables? Now you wrote down that challenge. We have to own it. How? How do we own it? Through accountability and being real and raw with yourself, and then uncovering the myth that got you there in the first place. Now, I challenge you right now. We're going to write down the fable or the myth you believed to get you to this point, and it gives you all the powers. Take 100% accountability for that myth that you adopted. So we're gonna write down, be accountable for it first, and write down again. If the challenge is weight, you can write down, take full accountability for it, and write down, I did this. I ate unhealthy foods. I did not work out. I was lazy. That's okay. Own it. And then uncover it. In that scenario, it would be the myth is my parents were unhealthy, so I have to be as well. That's a myth. So you want to own it first and then uncover the myth and write this down. We cannot change what we don't feel accountable for. So, me with alcohol, I blamed everyone else. And then I owned it. I wrote down, I am lazy and an overweight alcoholic. That's the truth at that moment. The myth that got me there was it's my family and friends' fault that I drink. Another myth is I've drank too long to change now. Those are myths. I would say this is just the way it has to be. That's a myth. Then in July of 2016, after that concert I told you about, I finally took accountability. Now change can happen. You got one down? Okay. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to feel it. And what do I mean by feel it? Thinking about what if you don't change? What if you keep this myth that you wrote down? What if you just keep it forever? What's that look like? Why would we do this? Because the pain, when the pain of staying the same feels worse than changing, you will change and I will change. Because now it feels easier to make the change. I don't want to stay in this pain of being the same. So, what I want you to do is write down what if you don't change? Write down the 3 worst consequences of believing this myth, this fable that you wrote down for the next 5 years. What's the worst consequence? Write down 3 of them. We'll give you a couple minutes to write them down. Okay, now you can write down who you've already let down by not changing in the past. Who have you let down? You, your spouse, a family member? Write down who you'll let down in the future. I know this is painful, but this is where change begins. If you feel this pain, there will be no choice but to change. All right, we have it written down. This is how my life shifted. I looked in the mirror and I projected out my life if I didn't change. Most likely, if I didn't get off of alcohol, I would be in jail or dead. I'd be alone, no real friends, a truly meaningless life. If it's a financial setback, feel the pain of living in debt forever, the pain of always being worried about money, having bad financial habits and handing those down to your kids and watching them struggle. That's the pain you have to feel because when you feel the pain, it's easier to shift. Now, we're going to break through it. We're going to do what I call fire your fable. You have to fire that thing. Get rid of it. Fire your fable. Maim your myth, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to ignite the champion. You know you don't want to feel the pain of staying the same. You just wrote it down. So we have to ignite the real you, create an exciting future, have a vision before the victory, a vision before the victory. It's not enough for me to say, I just have to stop drinking. I needed a target to get excited about the future. So I visualized what's the target? I met a mentor of mine who helped me out, helped me to change, and he was a bodybuilder. So I got into physique competition. So now instead of just I stopped drinking, I need something to shoot for, an exciting future, vision before victory. Physique bodybuilding is the direction that I went, and it gave me something to go after. It helped me get another mentor, another coach, somebody that could help me through the process. And I learned and I grew and I learned my body, and it got me stronger mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. My soul was stronger. And that's what we're going to do right now. You're going to write down, not yet, what the champion in you looks like. And you're going to break through that setback and that challenge. Now we're going to crank up, give me some music. We're going to crank up some music. Get up out of your chairs. We've been sitting way too long, and we are going to raise the roof and get a little dance party going. Move our bodies, shake it out. Let's go. All right, we can cut the music. You can take a seat. You can feel the energy. Can't you just feel the energy when you stand up for a while? You jump up and down, you dance a little bit. That is the energy we need when we focus on our vision. I want you to write down right now, as you're in this excited frame of mind, who are you as a champion? Who will you be? Write it down. Who are you as a champion? What does the inner champion in you believe? What is your champion's identity? Just start writing all of it. Whatever you feel, write it down. All right, we got it written down. Now let's talk about why we just did that jump up and down move. I call it the champion's mood. What is it? How does a champion show up? Like when you think champion, how do they show up? And we have to condition ourselves to show up like this daily. Think about it. How does a champion stand? All right, everybody stand up. Come on, get up again. Show me how a champion stands. Do it. How do they stand? There we go. What's something a champion would do to feel more energy? Just, or your hands are up in the air. What's something a champion would do? Do that. There we go. Show me the energy a champion has. Okay, you can take a seat. And think about it. How does a champion talk? How does a champion walk? How does a champion enter a room? How does a champion practice? How does a champion react to negativity? Now, you just got up again. We built that energy back up. We got music playing. Write down now, with this energy you have, what you'll achieve in the next 5 years. Write down all the things you'll achieve from that champion's mood, that champion's mindset. There's your breakthrough process. Give yourselves a hand for going through the breakthrough process. Now you have it. There it is. It's written out. You know what it looks like with your myth. You crushed it. You felt that pain of not changing, and then you created an exciting future. Now, how do we continue with this? I call it go, set, ready. Taking action. Action locks in that breakthrough process you just did. Action is the bridge that leads from fear to freedom. It builds momentum. Action builds momentum. And you might be like, Matt, why not ready, set, go? Isn't that what it normally is? That is what it normally is. And it's because most people go ready, 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 and never ready. So there's no set and go. It's just ready, 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 and then no action. A few years ago, I had an opportunity to go bungee jumping. I was scared to death, had no idea what to expect. I figured the tutorial for bungee jumping, this is overseas, would have been like an hour. 2 minutes later, I'm getting strapped into getting ready to jump off a bridge a few hundred feet up in the air. I'm sweating just retelling the story. I was talking to the one of the employees briefly as he's strapping me in, getting my ankles figured out, and I'm hopping to the edge of this bridge, and my brain is thinking, well, Matt, what are you doing? This is stupid. This is not smart. Why are we up here? We're going to die in 5 seconds if you jump. It's the kind of stuff that your brain tells you. And I get to the edge of this bridge, visibly shaking. And the employee who I've been chatting with says, hey, Matt, are you ready? And I turn around and I was like, no. And he said, good, then go. And I did. I jumped off this bridge. And it was one of the greatest 30 seconds of my life. And the fear completely went away. As soon as my feet left that platform, I was completely focused in on the moment. You can't think about your mortgage payment or a problem at work when your body is hurling to a river from 200 feet up in the air. But it made me realize go needs to happen first. Making promises and not following through can crush your self-esteem. Have you ever said, okay, tomorrow is the day. I'm waking up at 6 a.m. I'm working out for 30 minutes. My journey begins. And then the alarm goes off at 6 o'clock, and you're like, ah, you know what? My nose is a little stuffy, and my wife was snoring at night. Like, I need some sleep. You broke a promise to yourself. Go, set, ready avoids that. You don't have time to break the promise. You're already going, you're already taking action. Are we ever really ready? No. How can you ever be ready for something completely new? You can't. But you can condition yourself by constantly doing new things, conditioning yourself to action. Now, how do you ensure you go and take action? Can most people overcome a challenge they're facing? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Now, anybody in the audience jog? Anyone jog? Okay. There we go. Thank you, sir. Come on, stand up. Give him a hand. Now, how fast, if I told you to go run a mile, like at your pace, how fast would you run? Okay, 9 minutes, 9 minute mile. How fast could you run if I said, what's your name, by the way? John. Okay. How fast could you run, John, if I said, I'll give you $50,000 to go run a mile? Are you still going to run it in 9 minutes? 7 minutes, he said. We just shaved off 2 minutes from the 9 minute mile he would run. Okay, John, now I'm going to go to a deep, maybe darker place, but hear me through on this. How fast could you run? Or do you have a family? You're married? Okay. Married with one child. John's married with one child. How fast could you run a mile if I told you I have your whole family back there? The only way to see him again is to run a faster mile than 7 minutes. How fast could you run a mile now? He said, until my heart bursts. maybe closer to 5 minutes. He went from 9 minutes to 5 minutes. Give him a hand. Thank you, John. What happened? John had a stronger why. There was no deep reason why for the 9 minute mile. There was a financial reason why for the 7 minute mile, and there was the deepest reason to run a 5 minute mile. By the way, John, you should go out and run a 5 minute mile. Now we know you can do it. My first marathon I ran was the Pittsburgh Marathon, my hometown in 2019. There was a tragedy that happened in October of 2018 when 11 people were killed in a shooting in a synagogue. It crushed the city of Pittsburgh. It was countrywide, worldwide news. I just thought I want to do something where love wins in the long term. Hate won in that short term, but love wins in the long run. The decision I made was I'm going to run the Pittsburgh Marathon, my first marathon, wearing an 11-pound weight vest, 1 pound for every victim of this tragedy. Training was brutal. I'm running. I'd never run this far before. I'd never trained for a marathon. Now I'm training for a marathon with extra weight on. And the local media got word of what was happening, and they interviewed me a week or so leading up to the event. They interviewed me the morning of the event, but it wasn't about me. That's not why I did it. It was about a message of hope and love. And I was telling my family after the race, I think I could have broke my leg and completed this marathon because it wasn't about me. I had a why that was the whole city wide in my head. That's why. My why was so massive, it would get me through this marathon. And it did. And I get to the end of the marathon, and the person who ran the synagogue, it's called Tree of Life, his name's Alan, was waiting for me at the finish line. I didn't know who this man was. I didn't know he was going to be waiting for me. He drove down, met me at the finish line, and you can see him meeting up with me, shaking my hand. He whispers in my ear who he is. And he said, Matt, I'm just here representing the Tree of Life Synagogue, and you've given this synagogue hope. Thank you very much for what you've done for this community. I'd like to walk you across the finish line if that's okay with you. I'm bawling my eyes out. Of course, that's okay with me. So Alan and I have been in touch ever since. I worshiped with him. I went to the synagogue multiple times. My whole family did. You have a deep reason why you're unstoppable. Now, I want you to write down a deep reason why you want to sustain that breakthrough that you just wrote down. Write it down. Why do you want to sustain it? Okay, good. And we need to understand we have limited time. How do we create urgency? How do we take action? Because there is limited time, which equals more urgency, which equals action. I interviewed this woman, Autumn, years ago for my podcast. She lost her husband to a rare disease within 3 months of diagnosis, and she was doing an ultra marathon to raise money for a charity in his name. He was 31 years old. I was 36 years old at the time. And I remember her saying, I thought we had tons of Christmases left. I thought we had tons of birthdays left and celebrations left. We didn't. They didn't. It was the last one. As a result of this conversation, I thought, I need to come up with this idea. I call it the mortality mentality, where I'll put it up on the screen. I have a picture of a Google imaged generic tombstone, but I put my own name on it. I was born in 1983, and it says 1983 dash. I don't know what year that dash, what's going to come out after that. I have no idea. But seeing that every morning when I look at it, it makes me realize I have limited time. We all have limited time, and we don't know how much time that is. We must take action. Now, how do we fully ensure we are taking action now? Well, we're going to do something together. We're gonna take action right in this very moment. As you're in this state, feeling good, let's get up one more time. Come on, let's crank up the music. Everybody stand up. Let's get some dancing going on. Let's move the bodies a little bit. Get some dancing, shake it out. There we go. Okay, take a seat. Now, think about that challenge you're having, that first challenge you wrote about. Who is someone you can reach out to right here, right this second? A text message, an email, quick phone call if you need. Keep your voices down so we're not all on phones at the same time. What is something you can sign up for right here, right now? I'm asking you to sign up. And if you don't officially sign up, make the commitment to sign up as soon as you walk out of those doors. Go ahead, I'll give you a couple minutes. Now, you have a strong why. You've started to take action. To sustain it, what do? We do these things called voluntary growth rituals. It builds the action muscle in you. It's just like going to the gym. If you don't lift weights consistently, what happens? Your muscle goes away. If you don't consistently take action on things that scare you, make you a little nervous, then that muscle goes away. Actionable ways to train your brain to overcome setbacks. Rituals equal results. Your rituals equal your results. My body in 2011, this is just the truth, was a direct reflection of my rituals. Anyone could see that. I had a huge beer gut. I was 50, 60 pounds overweight. You could tell that I probably drank alcohol. You could tell that I didn't really take my health seriously. You could tell that I didn't work out much. Voluntary growth rituals. I'll give you three quick ideas. One, has anyone ever taken a cold shower or cold plunge, cold bath, something like that? That's one. It's hard to do every time you do it, and you feel unstoppable on the back end. You want to try something? Next time you hop in the shower, take 10 seconds, just turn the water on cold for 10 seconds. And it's more training yourself to do it when you don't want to. Your brain's like, as your hands go into that knob, your brain's like, don't do it, Scoletti, don't you dare do it. This is stupid. You're going to freeze to death in here. If you turn that handle, don't you dare do it. Boom. And then you tell your brain, sorry, I made the decision. I'm taking action. You don't own me. I will take action even if my brain tells me not to. That's the benefit. Of course, there's health benefits to cold plunges and cold showers, getting the improved circulation, improve reducing of inflammation, all of that. Great health benefits. I think the biggest benefit is right here. Also, you just signed up for something or you talk to somebody. Always have something on the calendar that helps you grow. Maybe it's a 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon. Maybe it's a 50K now because you've already run a full marathon. You want to go further, you put a 50K on there. What's on your calendar right now? If I asked you all, what's on your calendar that'll help you grow? Gotta have at least one thing that you look at that calendar and go, that's a growth day for me. The other way, the other voluntary growth ritual is simple. Move your body, exercise. There's a direct correlation, and you could look at study after study about this, to a champion's mood, your attitude, and moving your physical body. There's a correlation there. So we went over the breakthrough process. Own it, feel it, break through it. We went through that. Then we went through how to take action. Go, set, ready. How to take action even when you don't want to. To fully sustain this breakthrough and go from challenge to champion is the third piece. Your army. I believe we are all the general of our army. What does that mean, Matt? You get to decide who you're around. You decide your army. Who you hang with determines your success. You surround yourself with champions, it's going to be easier to become a champion. Harvard did a study years ago where they followed Harvard students from the time they graduated until the time they passed away. One of the main things they found was Relationships were a key indicator of happiness. Huge indicator. Who are you around? Now, I'll do a quick example with you. Everybody take your cell phones out. I normally wouldn't want your cell phones out while I'm speaking, but there's a point here. Take your cell phones out real quick. Look at the last five people you texted. Check out the last five text box. Take a look at them. How do you feel during that conversation? How did you feel at the end of the conversation? Did you feel empowered? Did you feel excited? Or did you feel defeated? Did you feel frustrated, bored even? My point is to not get rid of those five people if it's all defeated, but to think about it. Who are you around every day? You become like the people you spend time with. I learned this the most in this event that I did in 2017. It's called SEAL Fit. It's run by Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs train civilians and aspiring Navy SEALs at this event. It's a 55-hour straight event. Starts early Friday morning. It doesn't end until Sunday afternoon, and you get no sleep. You're not allowed to sleep. I'll tell you one of the quick stories that happened is right in the very beginning, these SEALs come up to us and they're like, there's 30 of us lined up in a row. Rule number one, you never put your hands on your hips. That's what they tell us. The reason is because once your hands go on your hips, a lot of times your shoulders hunch over. A lot of times your head goes down. You're in a defeated position. We just did the champion's mood, jumping up and down. That's how a champion walks. It's tall, shoulders back, not hands on hips and shoulders rolled over and defeated look. They told us never, ever, ever put your hands on your hips. 11 minutes later, one of the 30 of us put their hands on their hips. Can you guess who it was? Don't say me, but you should say me because it was me. One of them said, Scaletti, did you just put your hands on your hips? Yes, sir, I did. Scaletti, get to the front of the class and lead them in 25 burpees. I lied. It was 50. 50 burpees. They said 25 first, change it to 50. And by the way, I wasn't allowed to do them. I couldn't suffer with them. I had to make them suffer while I counted them. It was the most painful 50 burpees I had to count out ever. But here's the key to the story. None of those 29 other people looked down on me. None of them. They lifted me up. They finished the 50. I felt horrible. They patted me on the shoulder, said, don't worry about it. It's going to happen to all of us. We got you. We're doing okay. We're good. 8 of us of the 30 got through this brutal training. I was blessed to be one of them. And it was because I realized your army determines your apex. These are people I wanted to be around. And as a result, 3 of them, 4 of them, I should say, have become very good friends of mine because we suffered together for 55 straight hours. We're in the ocean doing this surf torture where it feels like you're getting waterboarded. Your arms have to stay linked. You want to panic, but you want to be there for your buddy to your left and to your right. Made me realize how powerful it is the people we surround ourselves with. I want you to write and think about a group or individual you need to connect with to improve your chance of success. Write it down. What's a group or an individual you need to get involved in to improve your chance of success? James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, said to get in a group where your desired behavior is their normal behavior. So get in that group or get around that person. Who is it? Now, concluding everything we went through, and this has been amazing. I'm so blessed to spend this time with you. How do we sustain this whole breakthrough process? Because you can walk out that door and nothing changes. You can walk out that door and go, I'm motivated. Yes, I'm ready to go. Motivation doesn't stay with you. It'll disappear by the time you wake up tomorrow morning or the next morning or the next week. So there's those 3 steps to sustain the lasting change. You already did the work. Now you just need to lean on the work you did. Number one is look through the breakthrough process and vision for yourself daily. That sheet, that notebook you filled out, that workbook, look at it daily. Why? It locks it in. It pounds it into your head. It builds it into your subconscious. Hold yourself accountable. Remove the blunder of blame and your bullshits by reading that every day. That's number one. Number two, your champion's mood. You saw it. You can control it. You can control how you show up. Go, set, ready every day. Condition that action muscle. Take on voluntary growth rituals every single day. Sign up. Always have something you're signed up for. Go, set, ready. That's number two. Number three is what we just talked about. Army determines apex. Get in that group that has what you want. Get with a mentor that has what you want. Get a mentor, get a coach, get in a new group that forces you to level up. Those are the three things. Don't walk out that door and change nothing. You've done so much great work this morning. Hammer it in. Let's keep the sustainable change train going. Remember Natalie, who we talked about with the 5K? She was a champion at that 5K, but that wasn't enough for Natalie. That wasn't the end of her story. She set a new goal after that 5K to handle and withstand a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a full marathon all in one weekend in what's called Disney's Dopey Challenge. She had to train for 2 years to prepare her body to get through this. 2 years after that 5K, I pushed her in. And she took the steps we just talked about to get there. She did her own breakthrough process. She did exactly those three steps. She owned it. She knew she had cerebral palsy. She felt it, the pain that she could have done more. The 5K wasn't enough. She felt that pain. I can do more. Then she broke through it. She created an exciting future with the Dopey Challenge. That was her exciting future. Then she used go, set, ready. She didn't think and ready, 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 and nothing, nothing. She go first. She told her mom, Mom, I'm doing this. She reached out to myself and said, I want you to push me for all four races. I reached out to my buddy Colin and said, What do you think about all four of them? He said, I'm in. Natalie said, I want Dopey. Natalie and I would send each other videos to motivate one another during those 2 year period of time that we're preparing for Dopey. Also, you know how hard it is to skip a workout when a woman with cerebral palsy says in a video to you, Hey, Matt, get your butt up and work out today. She surrounded herself with a support group that would encourage her, raise her up, and cheer her on. Army determined her apex. She used exactly what we just went through. She created a powerful why. She wanted to show Disney and the world that a setback would not define her. What was the result? The result was we went down there and pushed her in the 5K. We knew we could do that. We had done it a couple years prior. By the way, you also have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to get on a 3 a.m. bus, 2:30 to 3 a.m. bus to be at Disney to get ready when the gun goes off at 4:30 in the morning. She had to do this. She had to put her body through this, 4 straight days of it. We got through the 10K as well, just a little bit further than the 5K. Then we made it through the half marathon and we laughed and had fun through the whole thing. Then we got to the full marathon and we're pushing. And Colin and I, our legs are hurting, but it didn't matter. It's not about us, it's about Natalie. We're pushing Natalie. She's smiling. Yeah, she's hurting because her body's dealt with that pain for 4 straight days. We're seeing all the crowds in Disney. You go through Magic Kingdom and it's still dark out because it's early in the morning. Thousands of people are lining as you see the castle in front of you. A magical moment. And then the moment that changed me forever. We get to the finish line. of the full marathon, Disney full marathon, there are thousands of fans screaming, yelling, cheering, encouraging on their loved ones, their friends, and just random people all over the place. And Natalie tells us we're not going to push her across the finish line. She's going to walk across the finish line. See, this whole story wasn't about her just being pushed. That wasn't enough. That wasn't a breakthrough enough for Natalie. She wanted more. We get to the finish line. We stop about 50 feet in front of the finish line. I'll put up the picture here in a second. We unstrap Natalie from her wheelchair and she starts to stand up on her own. And she puts one arm around myself, one arm around Colin, and she gets up on her own, her legs strong enough, even after 4 days of pain going through this difficult race, four of them. She takes one step, then two, then four. Then the race MC sees what's happening and tells all of the thousands of crowd that's lining the finish line, if you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe you can do difficult things. Look at this, what this young woman, Natalie, is doing. She has cerebral palsy. She's never walked this far before. And here she is in front of all of you, pushing herself further than she ever thought she could go, further than any doctor thought she could go, further than her friends thought she could go. And she's walking across this finish line under her own legs. 5 more steps, 10 more steps, 20 more steps. The crowd is getting louder and louder and more energized, and they're screaming, and the cowbells are yelling. We finally get to the finish line, and I see the biggest smile on Natalie's face and the most massive explosion of cheers that I've ever heard in my life. Natalie didn't just want to be pushed for the marathon, she wanted to walk. As a result, she changed her actions. She had a change in belief. She had a change in identity. And she changed her destiny. She became a walker when nobody believed. One person changed thousands of people that day. She created hope in our souls, hope that we're capable of more. And I tell you this in closing, one person can change an entire culture, an entire business, and an entire organization. Be the one. Whatever the challenge, we too can become champions. Thank you.